Why, hello there, and welcome back to the Codex. So, the Belly of the Beast event is back in the game, and it is a incredible arcane farm, so make sure that you take advantage of this. I'm going to go over some build things about how to do the mission really fast on the Steel Path version specifically, because that is the best farm, of course. But first, let's talk about the alerts. So most of you probably know about doing the actual event. You can do the actual Ascension event version of the mission, but don't ignore these alerts. If you go to your alert tab, all day, every day, you'll have these rotating alerts that also give you volatile motes. If you do them on the regular path, they'll give you 10 motes, and if you do them on Steel Path, you'll get 15 motes. The ones that you want to look out for is Rescue, Sabotage, Capture, and Spy missions. Those 4 missions are the 4, like speedrun missions that, assuming you have good speedrun frames like a Cloudwalker Wukong, for example, you can do them really fast. Right now, here's a Rescue, for example. I could do this mission in less than a minute and a half, and it gives you 15 volatile motes. 15 volatile motes, for example, is enough motes to buy 3 Arcane Avengers or Arcane Aegises, so on. So 3 gold Arcanes, because gold Arcanes only cost 5 motes. I think it's 1 mote for a bronze. It's either 1 or 2 for a bronze. No, I think it's 1 for a bronze. 4 for a silver, I believe, 5 for a gold, and then like 46 for a legendary. So getting 15 motes in a minute and a half is absolutely insane. So in between your regular event runs, make sure that you're watching out for these alerts. Now, in terms of doing the actual mission, the frames that I recommend are, at the very least, and you do want to do this in a team, by the way. If you're doing it solo, probably bring either Zephyr or Wukong. The 2 most important frames, in my opinion, are Zephyr to one-shot the sister, which you'll see in the run that I'm about to show you. I'm just going to show my whole run in this video after we go over the build. Zephyr with a slam build, especially the Sampites, which I'll show you in a second here, is able to one-shot Steel Path sisters, completely destroying their damage attenuation. You just one-shot them. And then Wukong is really good, because if you have a max duration Wukong build, you can just fly around the map, instantly find all the cores you need to power the elevator, and bring it back and either throw them in yourself or leave them on the elevator for the person whose job it is to manage throwing cores in. And that person's job is the Wisp. I really like having a Wisp in this mission. The Wisp's job is to, 1, the Wisp should have silence on, so you Helmuth Banshee's silence onto the Wisp, and make sure you have at least 145 range, so at least have stretch on. Don't have negative range or anything like that, because you want your silence to actually hit the whole map. And since the Wisp stays on the elevator, you'll be in the middle of the room, so your silence will hit everything. Silence is super good, because for those of you that don't know already, one of the things that silence does, along with just being a stun, is that it disables Eximus auras, so you won't have any Jade Lights hitting you. This mission is filled with Jade Eximus. None of them will be able to use their Jade Lights, because silence turns off Eximus auras. They can't do anything, so no Jade Lights, no Blitz Eximus, no Leech Eximus, nothing. They'll all be just completely turned off, along with regular enemies being stunned by silence. So it's incredible. Use silence. The last player, the 4th frame after you already have Zephyr, Wukong, and Wisp, doesn't matter a ton, but I like having slow Nova. Have somebody bring Nova, put out the slow wave. That'll slow down the whole map by 75%. It'll also make enemies take double damage, which I believe should also work on the sister, so it'll double the damage for the Zephyr against the sister at the end, making the one-shot even easier to hit. And yeah, it's pretty good. In terms of auras, if you want to really like min-max your auras, if you want, you can have everybody run Ready Steel, because Ready Steel gives initial combo to the whole squad's melee, so you can give the Zephyr even more damage to your slam, because it'll have a higher combo multiplier, because when you do a slam heavy attack, it counts as a heavy attack, so it uses that multiplier, so you'll do even more damage. Now let's talk about the Zephyr here. And by the way, in terms of the Wukong build, you just need max duration. I'll show you an example here. For the Wukong, you're going to want to run just basically every duration mod in the game, and then I also run Energy Nexus to give you a little bit of energy regen, on top of running Steadfast, so that as you're spamming Cloudwalker, you'll save a ton of energy, because since you're casting so much, this will go off pretty frequently, and it'll make multiple of your Cloudwalker casters not cost anything. So energy is not an issue if you run this setup. Definitely run Natural Talent, because the extra casting speed makes you pop Cloudwalker way faster, so as you're getting in and out constantly, you'll move around much faster with that extra casting speed. You can also use casting speed shards if you wanted to. Aside from that, basically just max duration is all this build needs. The Helmuth doesn't really matter, because the Wisp has silence on. Nothing else is really a huge deal. You could throw on Nourish or whatever. It's not a problem. If you want to put on Preparation, you'll start the energy. You'll start the mission with max energy. That way you can just immediately start flying around. You don't need any pads or energy orb drops. You'll be good to go. The Aura, again, Sprint Boost is basically useless. It doesn't matter what you run here, so I didn't really care. But if you want to put on Ready Steel to buff the Zephyr even more, because this adds plus 24 initial combo, and every plus 20 adds another plus 1 to the melee multiplier. So that's just a damage increase for, like I said, one-shotting that sister. And then the Wisp build, just run a regular Wisp build. High strength, decent duration, have at least 145 range, and run Silence. And then the Nova, you guys know how to run Nova, have at least 150 strength. Make sure the slow is capped out at 75%, so on, so on. Now the Zephyr build, you don't need to copy my exact build. The mandatory things here on this build are to, not this build, this build. The mandatory things here are to use Funnel Cloud, because Funnel Cloud creates 8 additional tornadoes. The reason why that's important is because when you're fighting an enemy that has damage attenuation, which for those of you that don't know what that is, damage attenuation means enemies that have a damage mitigation formula, so that once you start hurting them, they calculate your DPS and they actively reduce it. The way they get around that is to one-shot them, because they don't start attenuating until after they take the first instance of damage. And the two ways that you get around damage attenuation is having a ton of multi-shot and having really high crit multiplier, because crit multipliers come after the attenuation damage cap. So for example, if attenuation says you're only allowed to do 100 damage, you can do 100 damage, but then you can also you multiply that times your crit multiplier. So high crit tiers, high crit chance, high crit multiplier, and a lot of hits. Now obviously you can't put multi-shot on melee, that's a gun stat, but you can do things that replicate multi-shot. So that's the tornadoes on Zephyr, because when you slam into the tornadoes, or shoot into them, but in this case melee, when you slam the tornadoes, all of the tornadoes that you hit repeat the damage that you do. So that's functionally multi-shot. That's also why we use Zada's Whisper. The way that Zada's Whisper works is the same way as Toxic Lash, where it's not a damage multiplier. Zada's Whisper applies a separate instance of damage. It's a second hit that does void damage. So I hit them with my Sampites, and then I do a separate hit of this extra void damage. So again, it functions like multi-shot. And the specific reason, I'm also using Arcane Fury for more melee damage, Steadfast, or Energize for energy economy. Oh, and I know this build looks weird because I have Steadfast in the body slot. I know this is an Exless mod. It's because I have Anchored Glide up here. I like Anchored Glide on Zephyr because the floatiness makes me feel like I'm going a little slower than I should be, so I just disable it using Anchored Glide. If you like the floatiness or if you don't care, then don't use this. You can put Sure-Footed back up here. It doesn't matter. Now again, the reason why the Sampites specifically is insane for attenuation is because it has this trait here. Heavy slam attacks release 4 explosions in a wide angle. So you're hitting 5 times instead of 1 time. And again, you want multi-hits to get around attenuation. I have a Riven on. I'm going to take it off because I know people are going to say, oh, you can't get a one-shot if you don't use a Riven. So I'll take the Riven off, and I'm not even going to put a mod there. So this is going to be a Sampites build with literally a mod missing, and I'm still going to one-shot the sister. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You can put like Killing Blow there or whatever for those of you that don't have a Riven. So I'm going to have an empty mod spot there because I won't use a Riven. And yeah, let me put this on D&D. People are messaging me. And now we will go and do an actual run. So we will be back in just a moment here, guys. Alright, so we are now in the mission. This is how the Belly of the Beast mission starts off. You just do a 1 minute long mobile defense, basically. I would recommend throwing out your crewmates here, because why not? Just makes it easier. If you are going to use Railjack crewmates in this mission, make sure that you throw it down at the beginning here. Like right at the very beginning and not later. You want your crewmates to be gone, expired, before you get to the sister, because when you're fighting the sister, the only person, the first person that should damage the sister is the Zephyr, because again, once they take the first instance of damage, they start to attenuate, so you need the Zephyr to be the first person to hit them so that you can get that one shot. So you don't want any crewmates, you don't want your allies to attack them. If you are bringing Wisp like this squad is, That's why you don't want to use shock motes, because if you have shock motes out, they do like a little bit of, you know, like 1 electric damage, for example, and that will count as damage, so they will trigger the attenuation. So keep your shock motes off, and just let the Zephyr slam them. Turn my gain volume down a little bit here. Like, it's a little too loud for the video. Now, this part, you want to make sure that you find the 3 sister beacons. You can see on the left side of your screen, it says 1 out of 3 found. Once you find 3 of those, that is what causes the sister to spawn at the end of the mission. And you want to kill the sister of Parvos because you get extra Steel Essence, if you're playing on Steel Path, of course. She drops an Arcane, and she drops a few extra motes. So the mission is way less rewarding if you don't take out the sister. So make sure that you do that. If you're playing a Zephyr, you just kind of fly up and look for it. I can hear one right now somewhere. I feel like I'm going a little bit crazy, though. I just heard one. And then after you find all 3 of those, you just focus on throwing the cores in, which the Wukong is doing right now, for example. All right, I'm going crazy, guys. Any of you see the 3rd one? There it is.
You are going crazy.
Good. Yeah, so the Zephyr will usually do that while other people focus on the cores at the beginning. And then after you find all 3, though, now we just focus on throwing cores in. You want to always make sure you have boosted cores. So look around the map. And once I find one, I'll show you guys what it looks like. Cat, if you find one, waypoint it. Don't take it so I can... Yeah.
I already waypointed one.
So Wildcat found a core here. They're marked especially and they're larger than the regular ones. And if you look at the actual name, it says boosted ionic charge rather than just ionic charge. So boosted ionic charges will add 10 seconds of triple speed to the elevator. So yeah, I threw it in, and if you look at the left side of your screen there, it has a arrow icons going up, and it says ×3 speed, and each one adds 10 seconds, up to a cap of 50 seconds. So if you find a lot of cores really fast, don't throw like 10 cores in, because you can only go up to 50 seconds, which is 5 cores. But ideally, you want to make sure the elevator is always boosted, so that you're constantly going at that ×3 speed, so that you can get to the top faster, and of course, just do the mission faster, because the more missions you can do per hour, the faster you get your Arcanes. So the mission's quite simple. You just want to make sure you're going fast. Here's another one, for example. And if you don't have boosted charges, but the elevator's about to run out of power, don't just let it sit there. Like, just throw regular charges in if you need power, because going normal speed is better than going no speed, obviously. So it doesn't have to be boosted charges. You just ideally want to always be boosted. So go ahead and throw all these in, because we can, like I said, you can store up to 50 seconds. See, we're getting towards the top, so now the Zephyr, you go up here, the sister always spawns to the right side. Put down your tornadoes, pop your Zadas. You can pop Void Strike as well from Matter Eye if you want. Then you just hop up in the air and slam. And I just killed... Okay. I just did that on this video. That's so fire. I just killed that sister so frame perfectly that you couldn't see her health bar. I swear to God, I just killed her, just so you know. Maybe I should have let her actually spawn, but yeah, I got her. She's dead. You just couldn't see her health bar because I slammed on the frame that she spawned in. That was so good to catch in a video. But yeah, that's what you can do. If you have this Zephyr setup, you can one-shot them straight through their attenuation, which of course makes the mission go much faster. And she drops, like I said, Steel Essence, a guaranteed Jade Arcane, like Secondary Fortify, for example, and she drops more motes. So makes the mission way more rewarding. We just did that mission very fast, hopefully sub 6 minutes. As long as you're below like 7, you know, you're going pretty fast. So you can see we're almost done here. You just have to escort this pod to the end, and there we go. Let's see how long that took. 5.5 minutes. That is super fast. Super fast. That's what happens when you have a really good team. The people that I'm currently playing with, you guys can say hi in the video if you want. They're fantastic. They're all playing their frames very well. We have an excellent Wisp, an excellent Wukong, and an excellent Nova. So thank you guys for being here and doing a fantastic job. So that's about it, guys. Of course. So that's how you do the event. That's how I recommend doing it. It's a very good setup, very fast. As you can see, like I said, sub 6 minutes is insane. And we got 28 modes, 12 volatile motes. These numbers change, by the way. You don't always get that amount. You can get like 14, 15. We got 28 vestigial motes, 12 volatile motes, 4 steel essence, a guaranteed arcane. You can also get the jade parts if you don't have that yet. This farm is incredible. Do not miss out on this event, guys. Go and grind it out. Let me know down in the comments, what arcanes are you guys excited about getting? Or for those of you missing Energize, for example, I know that's a big one. Make sure you're in a clan, by the way. If you're not in a clan, you can't get the legendary arcanes because those are only in the clan store version of the event. There's 2 different stores. There's the regular one, and then there's the clan store. And the clan store has all of the legendary arcanes. In fact, before I end the video, let's actually hop over to that store and talk about some of the arcanes that you might want to prioritize getting from this event. So I'll see you in just a moment. All right, so here we are. This is at the Larunda Relay, by the way. So you go to Mercury, go to Larunda Relay, and then when you get here, you don't have to walk to Ortis. Just hold down Q on your keyboard. Well, if you're on PC, I forget what it is on console, but hold down Q on your keyboard, open up the quick wheel, and you can just teleport straight to Ortis. So you don't have to like find where he is. And then he has the event store. So there is 2 different stores for the event. There's the Commit Volatile Motes and the Commit Volatile Motes clan only. So this is what I meant when I said you need to make sure that you're in a clan. The clan only one is what has the really fantastic hate skin, all these cosmetics, and then the 3 legendary arcanes. So it's got Energize, Grace, and Barrier. They cost 42 each, it looks like. So you need obviously a lot to buy these, but of course, if you don't have Energize, it's a fantastic arcane. Highly recommend getting it, but like I said, just make sure you're in a clan. So the regular store here, the Commit Volatile Modes, this is what has all of the regular silver, bronze, silver, and gold arcanes, along with all the cosmetics. It has really nice ephemeras. This Asper's ephemera is sick, for example. It's got a really sweet Creo Signa. This only costs 10 motes. Absolutely get this, one of my favorite Signas. You can get the Basmu, the Celicera. So if you don't have those weapons already, make sure you grab those, because this is one of the only ways to get them. Like once this event goes away, you won't be able to get it until it comes back again. Got the nice Simulacrum, etc., etc. Now let's talk about the arcanes here. So in terms of the arcanes, the bronze ones, they cost 2 each. The silvers cost 4. The golds cost 6. I thought they cost 5. I've been saying all the wrong numbers. Maybe they changed the prices from the first one. Either that or I'm just wrong. So the gold ones cost 6, so it's 2, 4, 6. One important note though is that arcane resistance, arcane healing, and arcane deflection, instead of 4, these only cost 2. So these cost half the price of regular silver arcades. So these are super good for Vosper, because all 3 of these are garbage arcanes. So you don't, I mean, if you want to keep one set just because you're a collector, for example, or because you have some niche use for it, go ahead and keep a set. But after that first set, buy a second set because they're so cheap, and turn into Vosper, because this is super, super fast Vosper, because they're worth like 18 or 20 Vos or something like that, but they only cost 2 each. So they're super fast to get, really easy Vosper, so keep that in mind. Now, in terms of the arcanes that you'll probably actually want to get, to prioritize, because they're actually good arcanes, in terms of the bronze ones, not a whole lot of good choices. If you like shotguns, Arcane Tempo is fire rate for shotguns, so that one can be good. An Arcane Nullifier, you might use this for Eidolons, for example. Aside from that, the rest of these are pretty bad. The silver ones, though, there's definitely some good choices. We have Arcane Strike, which gives you melee attack speed. That's fantastic for any melee build, basically, if you want to offload the attack speed from the weapon to an arcane. That way you free up a mod spot, for example, so you don't have to use Berserker, so you can put on more damaging mods and whatnot. Arcane Guardian is decent if you are doing some sort of health tank build. Arcane Acceleration is fire rate for rifles, which is very good, because again, you can offload the fire rate. Arcane Trickery is really good on Ash, specifically, because you can basically be permanently invisible without having to rely on his invisibility, his smoke shadow, for example. And Arcane Velocity is arguably my favorite choice here of the silvers. This gives you 120% fire rate to secondaries. This is, of course, good for the same reason you can offload fire rate, but this is really good on Mesa, because Mesa Peacemakers count as a secondary. So if you put this on Mesa, it's 120% fire rate for Peacemaker, which is a huge damage increase for her. So definitely grab that. Now on to the golds. The priorities would be Arcane Aegis is a fantastic arcane for shield gating, because this gives you shield restore. This basically makes you immortal for 12 seconds when this activates, because it makes you regen shields constantly every second for 12 seconds. And due to the way that shield gating works, what this arcane really says is, when I go off, you're immortal for 12 seconds. So very good arcane. Arcane Avenger gives you a huge flat crit chance bonus, so just huge damage increase for your entire loadout, so definitely grab this. Arcane Fury, big melee damage buff, very good on frames like Korra, for example, or Atlas, Gara, anything, or just for regular melees. And Arcane Rage is the same thing for rifles on headshots, so that's a pretty good choice as well. Aside from that, just buy whatever other arcanes you feel like you have a use for. Those are just the ones that I would say are somewhat of a higher priority from the event. But yeah, hopefully this is helpful for you guys. Let me know down below. Was this helpful? Do you like the method? Do you like the team? How do you like the event? What kind of arcanes are you guys grinding out? And all that kind of stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one.